John Weisinger started a winery 3 decades ago when most everyone told him it wouldn't last more than a few years.
This month, Weisinger Family Winery is celebrating 30 years. John's son, Eric, took over operations years ago. This week, Dad and son are taking several walks down memory lane.
I bought the vines from Frank Wisnowski back in 1978. And he told me, he said he thought this would be the grape that the Rogue Valley would be famous for. And I agreed with him, and I think we both were very wrong.
Gewürztraminer vines planted back in 1978 would become one of the first 3 vintages for the Weisinger Family Winery. While the grape did not put the Rogue Valley on the map, it certainly set off some amazing things for this family. John Weisinger, originally from Texas, says winemaking just came natural.
I've been making wine since I was 15 years old. And back in Texas on our ranch, we had wild grapes, and I started making wine from those because my grandmother said, why don't you take some, she wanted me out of the house. She was having a babysit. So why don't you go down the pasture and get some of these grapes and make jelly or wine? Well, jelly didn't sound interesting, but wine did.
Fast forward a few years, Eric comes home from school and finds a big hole in the ground, what would eventually become the winery.
I picked this spot on purpose because this was a place that I would bring my children when they were little, and we would have a picnic, and you could look all the way up I-5 and you could look up north that way. It was a beautiful view.
And he says there wasn't a lot of confidence back then on what he wanted to create.
Friends that I had known in the wine industry for almost 10 years had laughed at me and said, nobody's going to have a winery in Ashland. This is not the place. You want to be in the Willamette Valley. And I said, well, I think it'll work. And they said, well, you'll be out of business in 3 years. Well, we've done 10 times that.
John always hoped Eric would be interested in taking over and was excited when he took on more of an interest in the family business.
One of the things I realized is he had a lot of talents that I didn't have. I'm one of those people that I can tell you whether the wine's good or bad. He can taste it, and he can taste things that I'd never know even in the wine. And that was exciting for me.
And this is the Mescal Laurie, which everyone said wouldn't have a future, and I kind of argue with them on that because here it is 30 years later.
Eric took over the winemaking in 1998. Taking over management came in 2013. Last year in the Oregon Wine Experience competition, his Tempranillo took home Best of Show. The first thing he did was call his dad.
Quite honestly, I was jealous. My wines never got more than a silver that I made myself. And this guy comes along, and he's a lot younger than I am, and he's making wines that you're getting Best of Show and double gold. I didn't even know what a double gold was in my career. So the other side of it is very proud of him and what he's been able to do.
I think we are producing a good product. And I think that one of the things that's important for us and what perhaps has helped us to last these 30 years is that we haven't ever felt like we've produced the best that we can.
From past to present, an old label that reminds John of his Texas home, and the one today, which gives a nod to Eric's home. It's clear home is where the heart is.
Home is home, always is, always will be.
John wanted to especially thank people in the industry over the last several years, including the Wisnowski family, plus the community, he says, from Ashland to Grants Pass and everywhere in between. The people of Southern Oregon have been supportive of the